So, what does it really mean to support your partner? I mean, is it about taking care of the house, or is it something much, much deeper? Today, we're going to dive into a pretty provocative perspective that challenges everything we thought we knew about supporting a partner. And it all kicks off with one single Korean word. So, the word at the heart of all this is nejo. Traditionally, this is all about the support a wife gives her husband. And yeah, it's almost always tied to domestic work, cooking, cleaning, raising the kids. This is the foundation that most of us are familiar with. But the viewpoint we're exploring today throws a huge wrench in that and asks a really pointed question. Is that actually support? I mean, is managing a household the best way a partner can help a relationship succeed? Or have we been mixing up chores with, genuine connection? All right, so here's our game plan. We're going to start by redefining what support even means, looking at housework versus what's called high-value work. Then, we'll get into the idea of support as conversation, the huge danger of uneven growth, and finally, the key to it all, growing together. Okay, let's jump right into the main conflict, housework versus so-called high-value work. And the argument here is bold. It says that domestic chores are absolutely not nejo, and that confusing the two is a massive mistake. Wow. And this quote just captures that argument with, zero filter. The idea is that for someone with an education, with all this potential, to just be doing domestic tasks, well, it's a total waste of that potential. It's a really stark, no-holds-barred viewpoint. So this view basically creates a kind of hierarchy of work. You've got low-quality work on one side, the physical, day-to-day tasks of running a home, and then on the other side, you have high-quality work, things that involve getting out there, social, intellectual, and economic engagement with the world. And this chart just lays it out perfectly. On the left, you see the traditional stuff, but on the right, you see the potential this perspective says is being just completely wasted, running a business, networking with people, doing intellectual work. And this isn't just about feeling fulfilled, it's also making a straight-up economic case. Right, here come the numbers. The claim is that a wife who's out engaging in social or business activities could potentially earn 300,000 Korean won in a single day. This is what they call the opportunity cost of staying at home. Now compare that to this figure, 40,000 won. That's roughly what it would cost per day to just hire someone to do those exact same chores. So here's the bottom line from a purely economic view. The math just doesn't work. Why would someone with a 300,000 won potential be doing a 40,000 won task? The logic is that it's just way smarter to outsource the low-wage work and focus on creating much higher value outside the home. Okay, so let's move on and see how this all builds to a completely new definition. If nejo isn't about housework, then what is it? Well, the answer, according to this perspective, is surprisingly simple. This is it. This is the whole redefinition of true support being offered up. It's not a clean house. It's not a fancy home-cooked meal. It's the ability for two partners to have a real, engaging, meaningful conversation that is presented as the absolute bedrock of a relationship. And it makes sense, right? Because when that conversational connection is there, everything else just falls into place. A partner wants to travel with you. They want to share their wins with you and experience life with you because you're on the same level, an intellectual and emotional peer. That desire to be together comes directly from how good the conversation is. And once again, a pretty provocative, almost shocking example is used to hammer this point home. The argument is that if a husband can't talk to his wife, he might actually prefer the company of someone else, literally anyone, who he can connect with on that level. It's a harsh warning about what happens when conversation breaks down and why, in this view, that breakdown is the real failure of neojo. And that brings us to the core problem here, the danger of uneven growth. I mean, why do these conversational breakdowns even happen? Well, according to this perspective, it all comes down to mismatched development. So the critique really starts with this idea of passive support, like just praying for your partner to be successful. From this viewpoint, that is a huge mistake. Because while one partner is busy praying for the other one to climb the ladder, they aren't doing anything to climb it themselves. This timeline just lays out the whole sad story. A couple starts off on the same level. Talking is easy. But then one partner gets a promotion, they travel, meet new people. Their world just gets bigger. Their knowledge and status grow. If the other partner hasn't been growing right alongside them, a gap starts to form. And eventually, that gap gets so wide that a real conversation just becomes impossible. And the result is this profound disconnect. The conversational bridge that used to hold the relationship together, it's just gone. They might be in the same house, but they're living on totally different planets. This quote from the source material just cuts right to the chase. When the husband was on the ground, you could talk. Once he's successful, his level is higher and conversation is impossible because the wife hasn't studied. That phrase, hasn't studied, it's really just shorthand for not engaging in your own personal growth, and it's painted as the direct cause of the huge canyon that's formed between them. And this isn't just about spouses. The same logic gets applied to kids. As they go out, get educated, and experience the world, they can actually outgrow their parents conversationally, and that leads to a very similar kind of disconnect right within the family. So, if uneven growth is the problem, what's the solution? Right. This last section lays out the prescription for how to keep that vital connection alive for the long haul. And it's a pretty clear 4-step process. First, stop with the passive wishing. Second, you've got to actively focus on your own development, your own study. Third, make a real conscious effort to keep pace as your partner grows. And the result? You maintain that ability to talk to each other. And by doing that, you provide true support. And so here we are, at the core takeaway. True Nejo, true support, it isn't about serving someone else. It's about a partnership of equals who are both committed to growing side by side. You don't just cheer for your partner from the bleachers. You get on the field and run the race right alongside them. Which leaves us with a really powerful final question to chew on. This perspective completely reframes support, not as something you do for someone else, but as an investment you make in yourself. So what do you think? Is the greatest gift you can possibly give your partner your own continuous growth?